Good day and happy Sunday, dear friend in Christ. Today is the 31st Sunday of Ordinary Time, Year B, and our readings are taken from the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 6, verse 2 to 6, Psalm 18, letter to the Hebrews, chapter 7, verses 23 to 28, and the Gospel of Mark, chapter 12, verses 28 to 34. Our readings today point to the very nature of God, love. His invitation calling us to love comes from the fact that God is love and He loves us first when we least deserve His love while we were still sinners. And that is where His invitation comes from. He loved us first and He wants us also to live a life of love. The first reading instructs us that the law of the Lord are not burdensome or impositions, but paths to God. Since keeping His precepts keep us. The second reading requires us to live like Christ, who gave His life for us all. I once read from Father Munachi that there are some laws that were said to have existed, or some of them might still be existing in the background in some parts of the United States. Some of them sound very funny. That in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, it is against the law to sleep in a refrigerator. In Gary, Indiana, you are breaking the law if you attend the theater within 4 hours of eating garlic. It is illegal for chicken to cross the road in Whitman, Georgia. It is against the law in Alabama to wear a false mustache to church such that it makes people laugh. The problem with multiplying laws is that people get confused about what things are truly important and what things are accidental. The Jews, too, had so many laws, all about 613 of them, 613 laws, drawn from the Old Testament. Because the demands of one law often conflicted that of another, Jewish moralists tried to work out some form of synthesis of the essentials of the law. This helped them to know which law should enjoy priority in case of conflict, in case of a conflicting demand. The prophet Malachi, for instance, summarized the law in these words. It says, "What does the Lord require of you, but to do justice, and to love kindly, and to walk humbly with your God." Malachi 6:8. And the popular Rabbi Hillel was once asked to summarize the whole law standing on one leg. His summary was, "What you hate for yourself, do not do to your neighbor." This is the whole law. The rest is commentary. So, when the scribes asked Jesus today, which commandments is the first of all? He was not simply asking for the first commandment of the 10 commandments. "I am the Lord your God," and all that. No, that was not what he was asking. Rather, he was asking for Jesus' own synthesis of the entire laws and commandments of God. In the Gospel of Mark, the scribe is presented not as trying to test Jesus, but as truly willing to learn. Probably he was overwhelmed with the conflicts he saw in his own life as he tried to meet the various demands of the many commandments. His final answer to Jesus was, "You are right, teacher. You have truly said that He is one, and beside Him there is no other, and to love Him with all my heart, and with all the heart, and with all understanding, and with all strength, and love one's neighbor as oneself. This is much more important than all the whole burnt offering and sacrifice. This suggests that he was probably experiencing conflict between the need to love the people in his life and the need to fulfill the demands of the temple worship. Jesus resolved his problem by assuring him that practical love of God and neighbor comes before the need for ritual observance and worship. This will explain that it is the case that Jesus took issues with the Pharisees because they reversed the order. They absolve people from taking care of their old parents and family as long as they are willing to share their wealth in the temple. Gospel of Mark chapter 7 verses 11 to 12. In this way, they became skilled in the observance of insignificant religiosities, but deficient in what Jesus calls weightier matters of the law: justice and mercy and faith. There are still many of us Christians today who see our worship of God in terms of observance of law and commandments. We go to church on Sunday just to fulfill our Sunday obligation. We celebrate the events of the Holy Week just to do our Easter duty. Jesus reminds us today that whatever we do as Christians in the church, in our families, at our work, should flow not out of sense of compulsion, necessity, or requirement, or obligation, but out of our love for God and our neighbor. Obedience is not the first duty of a Christian. Love is. Obedience to the law is not our first duty. To love is our first duty. Being close to the kingdom is not the same as being in the kingdom. A point or a mark short from a given grade means you didn't get the grade. I almost made it is not enough. May we not just be near or not far from the kingdom, but in the kingdom. If today you hear his voice, harden not your heart. Have a blessed Sunday and a wonderful week.